Hello everyone, this is Curve with Yakuza 6 No Damages Part 1 of 1 because I decided to do one part instead of two. Unfortunately, I have to make this intro very quick because this fight is really quick. Way faster than Kiwami 2, which is a running theme in this video, which you will soon come to see. Speaking of comparing this to Kiwami 2, this video was actually way better than I thought it was going to be. I had a lot more fun with these no damages than with Kiwami 2's no damages. I don't know, it just felt way better, and I felt like I did a way better job overall. And hey, watch this. Reverse Tiger Drop. We have Gaiden at home. Speaking of Gaiden, I really enjoyed Gaiden, and I will elaborate on that later, but you may notice that I will not be copying I'm on the edge of my seat this time, because I felt like doing something original and not completely stealing an idea. I am using the Speed of Curve 12.0, Speed of Curb, not Speed of Curve like my name, by iWin. Link will be in the description. Go give it a listen, it's really funny. I will explain the mods in a longer fight, but once again, this is a very short fight, so I don't have much time. Most repeat bosses, as you will come to see, like Nagumo, will have like a musical theming, where like all of his songs will be similar, and Nagumo's theming is like the goofiest ass rap possible, which is why I chose Speed of Curb number 12. It felt like it fit. Alright, so here's Ed. Ed is the first of many group fights in this game. Of course, this is one of the most tame ones. Yakuza 6 as a whole has, like, the best crowd control in the entire series. You just have so many options to deal with crowds. It's a huge refresher from all of the other games where you can be pretty limited in your options when it comes to dealing with groups. And another thing with groups in Yakuza 6 is that when you have bosses that are in groups like this, they generally have their health scaled way down. Like, look at that. That QTE, well, not even a QTE, action sequence just did like a quarter of his health. And this one's about to do a crap ton as well. And that health scaling is going to be very, very noticeable in a later upcoming fight, not too far from now. So I do leave Ed here. I have kind of a lame finisher, but oh well. I won't always deal with the boss last in these group fights, but sometimes I will, like this one. Alright, now that we have a little bit of a longer fight, I'll explain what exactly the mods I'm using are. So, of course, I am using the Beast Charge mod by Ushiraiden, which also gives you Kiwami 2 combo speed, plus some other different animations and stuff like that. Of course, all of these will be linked in the description, because, you know, I gotta credit those mod creators. I love them. I'm also using the purple demo heat from the Yakuza 6 demo, which was ported over by Waffly Lizard. I'm, of course, using the old Appstem RX mod from Kiwami 2, which was from the Yakuza modding community. And one that is most obvious is, apart from the Gaiden skin, which was by Nero the Yoshino guy, is the PS4 Judgment filter, which I use, which I think looks really awesome. And that is by Emil2391. I had to let that sync go. And of course, once again, I am using saves from the Honmono no Ryu, a Discord save document, which is amazing as usual. So the boss is about finished here, and unfortunately, Akiyama is going to steal my finisher from me once again. Alright, so I did this fight first try, so it's really not all that great. So I'm just gonna talk over it. But yeah, like I said in the intro, this video is all in one part, because Y6 fights are way shorter than Kiwami 2 fights. Like, by a lot. That may be due to the fact that I have a higher attack power, but I think it's also just because they generally have lower health anyway. I had a lot more fun with this game than I was expecting to. Like, this game is way more fun than I thought it was going to be to no damage. And that QTE right there is going to take Akiyama down to basically 0 health and reverse Tiger Drop. I love that you can do that in this game. Alright, I had to use Effective Fight here, which I always think is called Effective Flight, because, you know, Akiyama's like the Phoenix. Watch this. Yeah, for some reason, the reverse first finisher gives you Psychokinesis for some reason. But yeah, I had to use Effective Fight because I'm on the edge of my seat, use Speed Star, so I couldn't use it. I don't want to copy his music. I don't want to copy his whole groove. A side effect of Yakuza 6 fights being a lot quicker than Kiwami 2 fights is that, well, for one, songs rarely loop, but they also don't get to finish most of the time. So sometimes I have to edit the songs to finish, to like get to the good part, such as this one. Not the greatest edit in the world, but it'll do. You can act way before that title card goes away for some reason. It's crazy, and it lets you take advantage of, like in Kiwami 2, the fact that bosses just don't do anything for the first few seconds of a fight. They just kind of just let you do whatever you want, which is really useful because Yakuza 6 is kind of restrictive, especially in vanilla, which is part of why I haven't really been talking about strategy all that much, is because vanilla Yakuza 6 especially is very freeform, so I'm kind of just doing shit. So now Nagamo's in heat mode, where he gains super armor for some of his moves like that, which allows me to go for the punch flurry heat action in extreme heat, which I otherwise wouldn't have been able to. This fight actually took way longer than I was expecting it to, way longer than it should have, because of that stupid-ass grab right there, which can be pretty hard to react to. And also because grabs damage you in this game. Like, not even throws, just grabs. Alright, this is Burning Men's Soul, possibly the goofiest rap to ever exist, on top of the goofiest no damage that I've ever done. It is not great, but it fits, so we're rolling with it. But yeah, modded fights have a little bit more strategy because you need to actually land the beast charge, and then you can do some combos. And of course, those combos have a little bit of linearity to them, but you do have to be kind of specific with what you do. Like, especially like if they're in the corner like this, where you kind of have to change up what you're doing.
And if it's too many heads in my blunt, I will spark it out, put it in my pocket and save it like rocket. To everybody's gone and it's cold, then I spark it up with my brother. His mama named him Mo, but I call him Mo Lover, and he's more than a couple.
Bars! You should be behind them. Yeah, so the beast charge can actually break through moves that you otherwise wouldn't have been able to break because they have super armor or something, because the stun effect kind of takes priority over that. It's very nice, and it makes a lot of fights less tedious. So here I actually have a pretty terrible finisher, which kind of adds to that.
Brooklyn, New York, I don't eat pork or swine when I dine. I drink a cup of Kool-Aid, not a big glass of wine or a gin pine. If you have time, I'll drop rhyme again.
Fire! You should extinguish it. Alright, so this is the boss fight that I was talking about, where they all have stupidly low health because it's a group, and they kind of have, not only is it like an early game boss, so it's got low health, but it's dividing that health between 3 different bosses, so they basically have a step up from like a regular enemy health bar. It's pretty crazy. And that contributes to this being one of the quickest fights. Like, with this heat action, 2 of them are about to die. And it's only Nagamo up now. That heat action is actually pretty hard to land off of a parry, so I'm kind of surprised that worked there. Alright, so that's like beginner there. It's pretty weird because I did the square triangle charge, but the only reason I went into that little mid-fight cutscene is because at the last second I activated a bounding throw, which if you slow down the video and you actually go into frame by frame, you can see that Yuta's health bar down on the bottom of the screen in 1 frame goes from having a big chunk of damage done to it from the charge finisher to having another big chunk of damage from the bounding throw. And you'll see that Kurohyou actually changes his animation, but it's still barely noticeable. It's a little thing that I thought was neat, which, you know, helped out. So you're probably seeing that I'm going for that a lot, the parry into the running attack into the beast charge, because that's a pretty consistent option for landing the beast charge. But sometimes Yakuza 6 pulls a Yakuza 6 and the enemy blocks it from behind. No blocking that though. Yakuza! Alright, so yeah, I really hate through. It's like the most mid basic boss theme ever. I know it was also on Akiyama, but I was busy talking about other stuff in that fight, so you're gonna hear me talk about it here. Well, I don't really have much else to say on it. It's kind of just not great. Speaking of not great, Masazoe. This guy is so weird because he kind of just shows up, you fight him twice, and one of them's like a ginormous group fight, and then he gets killed off. And he doesn't really do anything other than kidnapping Nagamo for this first fight here. And you'll see now that he's in heat mode, I needed to be in extreme heat there so that heat action worked and I could get some big damage off of Masazoe there. I don't know why that charge attack was never reused, and all the other triangle charge attacks in the Dragon Engine games have been pretty lame. That's the best one. I don't know why they never brought it back. And that right there starts a trend of me failing the running attack heat action. Alright, watch this opener. All of them down in one shot. I love that. So I chose Counterfeit Phantom from Persona 5 Strikers because that song is the theme of one of the jails that is based off of traditional Japanese architecture, and this fight takes place at a traditional Japanese temple, so perfect. Choosing some of the music for some of these fights was hard as fuck, actually. Like, the whole music process kind of went in 4 phases. Phase 1 was the music for the bosses that I already had in mind before I started editing the video. Phase 2 is the bosses that I find the music for basically immediately when I start looking. And Phase 3 is the bosses that I have to do a little bit of digging for to find a song that I want. And then Phase 4 is the bosses that I just have no fucking clue what I want to put on them, so I just desperation pick. And there are a couple bosses like that. Mostly 2 different bosses. One of them actually turned out pretty well, and one of them was kind of just, I had no other option. I know I've kind of been rambling for this fight, but it's not all that special, and, well, it's about to be over anyway. Alright, so this boss has a similar problem to the Jingai Thunders, where it's a relatively early game boss, and it's two of them, so they gotta split the health, so each one of them ends up having basically a mini boss health bar, and they go down super easy. Like, look at how much damage that heat action did. And you'll notice that after this QTE, I think it's Yuta, it gets up stunned. This is one of the few bosses that you can very consistently stun after the QTE. But, of course, they have so low health that you can't really capitalize off of it. And watch this. Failed heating attack. Or, sorry, failed running attack heat action number 2. I chose this song, Crazy Chocobo, because it's silly and Yuta does not deserve a serious song choice. So it's really hard to do combos on these guys with the Beast Charge because the other one always interrupts your combo. And it's very hard to actually get anything off without them coming in and ruining it. Alright, watch this. Double Tiger Drop. Okay, so because of how Yakuza 6 ragdoll stuff works, Yuta actually took double damage there. Because, you know, what's his face? Takashira, his ragdoll has a hitbox, which hit Yuta after I already hit him with the Tiger Drop. That running attack was intentional this time. Alright, so this is one of the hardest group fights in the game, just because it's a really large group, and they all get resurrected. Well, not all of them, but a good chunk of them gets resurrected twice. And this no damage actually took me a couple days. I'm trying not to rely on the dropkick because the dropkick is notorious for being stupidly OP when it comes to crowd control. And so much so that that dropkick was never put in any Dragon Engine game ever again. Once again, I gotta make sure that I'm in extreme heat so I can get that charged heat action on Masuzoe. And then I start to play very passively here because I want to get rid of these guys as quickly as possible. Like, as I said, I'm trying not to rely on the dropkick, but that doesn't mean I'm not gonna use it. So I really do just kind of bob and weave in just to eliminate the goons so I can get Matsuzoe on his own. And here I'm just gonna do some heat actions because I don't want to deal with the fight anymore. Dragon Engine Ragdoll. Okay, so this fight was one that I actually had no idea what song to put for. I really forgot about this one. So I ended up going with Born Again by the Newsboys, the Nightcore version. So, which means that I'm going to have to talk constantly because even if it's the Nightcore version, this is a copyrighted song. I really dug myself into a hole here. Some of these bosses, of course, I'm gonna have to do fully talking the entire time because copyrighted songs. And I don't want my video to be demonetized. That sucks. Not like it's gonna make much money anyway, but I'd rather be monetized than demonetized. If you do want to see like any of these boss fights with no commentary, I will put some of them down in the description in private videos, well, unlisted videos, and I'll have them no commentary version so you can listen to all of the artistic glory that went into putting Nightcore Born Again by the Newsboys over Masazoe. So if you saw at the beginning there, I am trying to use the bike. Well, I did try to use the bike, and I successfully used the bike to just clear out that entire group. Most people use the bike when they try to deal with Masazoe too. I tried not to do that on the vanilla no damage, and I was like, I didn't do it in the vanilla no damage, so I'm not gonna do it. I am going to do it in the modded no damage. And I actually tried to avoid Masazoe's other phases this time by just using heat actions on him, which isn't going to send him into his other phases, because I tried to keep one goon alive, and yeah, I used the word goon in its original context. I'm not going to let the porn addicts take that one away from us, but I accidentally killed him, so I had to rely on heat actions. Alright, so you can abuse Somia super hard in the first couple seconds of his fight when he's trying to, like, fucking get a drunk buff or something. So, hit him with an entire couch, and then do that heat action. One interesting thing about that specific heat action with Somia is, you see how I'm doing those QTEs so quickly? Is because Somia is the only boss in the game, as far as I know, that has a set pattern for that heat action. None of the other bosses that I know of have a set pattern like that. And the pattern is, it's a random button for the first one, but then all of the subsequent buttons just go counterclockwise around the face buttons. So like, for example, let's say the first one is triangle, so then I just go square, X, circle, triangle, square, and it's gonna be like that every single time. So, Phase 2 Somia becomes really annoying because he suddenly gains this retaliation attack, which is super annoying to deal with because he does it every time you hit him with something. Of course, as you can see, I'm abusing this with Tiger Drop because you can do so really easily. The timing's a little different than you might expect, but it's still there and it's still very easy to deal with. I barely got that dropkick heat action. If I was just a couple frames too late, I would have gotten hit by the furniture, but we're good. Alright, so Somia has Cooler's theme from Dragon Ball FighterZ because I asked some people for music that should put in the video. Somebody suggested this one, and I was like, hey, this would work on Somia one. So the beginning there where he becomes an alcoholic is kind of just the same idea, just do a heat action on him because he'll just tank it and do nothing about it. So right here, I'm just trying to do some beast charge combos, and then I do have to play a little passively once it hits phase 2 because I can only hit him with the beast charge. The beast charge is going to negate his retaliation attack, but I still need to land it. And as such, doing like parry into running attack into beast charge isn't going to be that much of an option. I tried it there, but then I'm like, wait, it's not worth it because it's just going to activate his retaliation attack. Which, you know, in hindsight, I might have been able to dodge out of the way of and then hit the beast charge. And, yeah. I also learned the hard way there that you can't just raw beast charge out of a parry. You have to hit them out of the parry state with something. Stomia also has this like stupid running grab that he'll do, which is really hard to deal with and killed a ton of my attempts because it's basically a command grab. You can't dash out of it. That one right there, that one. So I have a really hard time getting Somia stunned here for the finisher. I try, but he just doesn't want to, so in the end, I just Superman punch him. I kicked Jungi's ass in this fight. So, while you're watching that happen, just watching the boy get absolutely demolished, I actually did this video's no damages way differently than I did Kiwami 2's. Because the way I did it in Kiwami 2 is that I did both the vanilla and modded versions of the fight, one after another. But this time, I did all of the vanilla fights first, and then I went back and did all of the modded fights. And I feel like that improved the quality of the no damages overall, because it allowed me to get fully comfortable with one style of gameplay before switching over to the other style of gameplay and allowing me to get comfortable with that. Instead of just switching back and forth and kind of just progressing really slowly with how good I got at it. Which, I mean, like, Kiwami 2 was kind of shallow anyway, so there wasn't much to do anyway to get good at. Another thing I should say is that all of the vanilla no damages before the third to last fight of the game do not have the parry talisman. But starting with the third to last fight, they do. This is because Gunkshot updated his Yakuza 6 saves while I was doing the no damages. And, of course, that was where I was getting all of my saves from. So, all of the old ones didn't have them, but all the new ones did. So all of the modded fights do have the parry talisman. Alright, so somehow I've gone this long without mentioning that my attack is at 200, which is the standard for all of the save files that I had. And it is going to be that way for all of the fights. Even the group fights, I didn't cheap out on those. Although there is one exception later, which we will get to that. And so, more on Jungi here. I do beat his ass again in this fight. And unfortunately for him, his fights kind of just get progressively worse. Dragon Engine physics there. But this one is still really good. This is honestly a really fun fight. I chose Undertale / Deltarune music for all of Jungi's fights because I thought they would fit. And for this one specifically, I chose the world Revolving, and I think it works really well. I don't know what I was cooking right there. I just let him be stunned and didn't do anything. But this fight, oh my god, I hate when that happens. I hate when, like, your first finisher just doesn't work. I actually do finish this fight off with a double finisher heat action for once, though. Surprisingly, I don't do that a ton. Alright, so when I was talking about hard group fights, I actually really forgot about this one. Because, yeah, Masu Zoe 2 is pretty hard. And the second to last fight in the game is pretty hard. But this one is pretty brutal. So part 1 of this video, when it was supposed to be 2 parts, was actually supposed to end here. But when I got here, and after this fight and the modded version of this fight, I saw that the video would only be 36 minutes long. And, you know, because of that, I decided to do one big part instead of 2. I didn't really get to experiment with Ed 1, but I do get to do some of that in this fight. Because, you know, Ed's a big boy. You can do a lot of stuff with him. I generally really like Yakuza 6's soundtrack. That's one of the best things about this game. But I've never really been a huge fan of Bonds, which is Ed's theme. It's one of the weaker ones to me. Which, granted, the bar is pretty high. And it's still decent. I'm just not a huge fan of it. You know, there's actually an infinite that you can do on Ed in this fight. Which involves doing the square triangle bounding through over and over again around a pillar, which I actually showed off in my joke Yakuza combo video. Watch that if you didn't. I actually spent like a couple days on that because I felt like it. And, you know, at this point, when all of the goons summon in, I just start to play pretty passively because I don't want to lose to Yakuza 6 jank, which there's a lot of that. So, I knew basically from the get-go that I wanted to use Beauty of Annihilation for Ed, because I just thought that it was going to be great, and it is. I really like it. And, you know, that spawned, like, the whole theming for Ed, where I just have COD Zombies music. You know, keep watching to see what I picked for Ed 3, because I think that one's also one of the best fits in this video as well. So, Ed is actually classified as a heavy enemy, which means that he gains knockdown immunity to a lot of attacks. Some of them being like your double finishers, like that, and the drop kick, of course, and some other ones as well. And unfortunately, I dropped that combo there. But because he's a heavy enemy, you can have like much more varied combos, because you just have a lot more that you can combo with. And unfortunately, I did forget that there is a tech in this game that allows you to do a dropkick immediately out of a quick step. And I didn't remember until somebody from Honmono no Ryu reminded me, and that was after I finished doing all the Ed fights and the only other boss that has heavy properties. So I didn't really get to make big use of it in combos. As you can see, I do set up the broken ass punch heat action again. I actually had to like set that up. I had to like lab that in the vanilla version of this fight, but in the modern version of the fight, it's as easy as just hit beast charge and then punch him. Yeah, that's why I think that this is such a great choice. For some reason, the Judgment Filter mod doesn't work in this building, but I don't think that's the worst thing in the world, because the filter does kind of overshadow the purple demo heat mod, which I think looks really nice, but it kind of gets tuned out by the dark filter. And, of course, I do have to let the enemies kind of or sorry, do have to kind of be passive once these enemies come in, and that's basically just what you're gonna see for the rest of the fight. I'm gonna let the song play now. Unfortunately, Akiyama does steal the finisher again. Yeah, so Hangman's a boss, technically. He's got a unique moveset, so I guess we're gonna no-damage him. That guard attack right there is, like, pretty bad. You really have to be careful about that. You don't want to mess with it. Now, because Hangman is, like, sort of a boss, he does have really low health. And, I mean, he kind of just goes down. He's really not all that special, but I did want to include him because it's Hangman. I mean, how could I not include Hangman? Hangman's awesome. Yep, and now we have Hangman, but modded. Part of the reason why I didn't want to end part 1 on Ed, not only because of, you know, it would have been really short compared to what part 2 would have been, is because that would mean I'd have to start part 2 with Hangman. And then I would have to start part 2 with Hangman again. 2 times. Twice in a row. So I just don't think that's a great way to start off a no damage video. I want to start it off with, like, a real banger, and Hangman isn't really a real banger. Yep, it's Hangman again. Except this time I have a sledgehammer. And it takes away half his health. You know, just to spice things up a little bit. Now, you can't forget that you do have Somiya helping you here. You know, he helps out. But he also, like, steals my finisher in the end, so never mind. I wish he wasn't here. Yep. So now we're at it again. Except this time, me and Somiya are both going to just fuck up Hangman in the corner. Now, you probably could have noticed, but for Hangman 1, the modded version, I use the penis eek. Also, I did not take damage there. That was Somiya knocking me down. I still have full health. But yes, I used the penis eek. And this is still the penis eek, but this is the Mario Paint version by Abif. And I'm very sad that he actually didn't kill. I fucking hate the intro to this fight, dude. It's just Somiya standing around, just hobbling there like he's drunk out of his mind. And he's got just fucking shit-eating grin. I hate it. It's so bad and lazy, and I hate it. But this fight is pretty good. And you know what else? Gravelly's Tiger Drop. I love that. Now watch how this heat action syncs with the baseline. Awesome. So now we're going into phase 2, and Somiya does the same thing like in his first fight where he just spams that retaliation attack at everything. So I do have to play pretty passively and kind of just abuse Tiger Drop because there's not much else that you can do when he's in the retaliation phase. You can't really get combos on him. So for the time being, while I have a moment to just Tiger Drop Somiya, Gaiden. I know I talked about it a little bit in the beginning, but Gaiden was really good. It definitely has one of the best stories in recent Yakuza games. It's really awesome. And like, it definitely has one of the best final bosses in the series. Just, it's amazing. It's Aizawa 2.0. And only major flaw with the game is that the combat needed some more time in the oven. It's underwhelming. It's definitely the weakest that Kurohyou has ever been. Alright, so this is a song called Borderline by Hikamori, I don't know exactly what the name is, but they're a quote-unquote breakcore artist. I know that that term is very gatekept by actual breakcore fans, but I'm just gonna say breakcore in quotes. I do always try to mention songs that are by smaller creators or just like YouTubers and stuff like that because I don't want to just use a song by a small creator and not give them credit for it and give them, you know, recognition they deserve for making something awesome. I don't just want to like steal it and not credit. This song in particular, I actually found after another one of their songs called Anybody Can Find Love Except You blew up from some meme that somebody made out of it, and I went to go check it out, like the full song, and honestly, after listening to that song, it's fucking funny as hell. It is hilarious because you just have this like very nice and peaceful piano sample with breakcore drums over it, which is usually really nice. I usually like that, but in that song specifically, it like in the latter half of the song, it just goes double time, and it's so funny. But I looked at some of their music, and I found this one, and I liked it, and I went to use it. Alright, so Koshimizu, this no damage is really funny, because in like his first phase, I kind of just tried to abuse the guardrails as much as I can. Because there aren't really many fights with guardrails, and I kind of just try to do what I can with these. Because watch, you get stuck behind him, that lets me set up that heat action. And like with the bounding throws, sometimes you can just throw them over and try to get something. So I run over and go and grab the bike, and yeah, I mean heavy weapons like bikes are broken in Yakuza 6. Especially in group fights, because you just have that wide-ass swing, which hits everyone. Yakuza 6 is my favorite Musou game, just so you know. So yeah, Phase 2. This QT is actually pretty long, but... Phase 2, Koshimizu starts off with this, like, charge attack thing, where he gains super armor, and he does it a couple times, but, thankfully, he is not immune to heat action, so I can just go and run into him. And bada bing bada boom. Heat action. Boing. Alright, I had no idea what song to use for Koshimizu 1. This was like a desperation pick, but I thought it was really funny, so we're rolling with it. Now, unfortunately, this song, Not Here All Night by DA Games, a Five Nights at Freddy's fan song, is copyrighted, which means that I do have to talk over it constantly, but I'm definitely going to do a no commentary version of this just for shits and giggles because it's really funny. So sometimes it's good to just have funny song choices and not necessarily ones that fit the character. So to talk about the fight, modded Koshimizu 1 is probably like one of, if not the easiest bosses in the game to no damage because he has a ton of easy openings, especially with the parry talisman. A lot of his moves are very telegraphed, and you know, you can kind of just hold block with the parry talisman and win. And plus you also have a giant linear space with this streak, which lets you do a lot of back combos on him and kind of just bridge him along all the way down the street. Some bosses, like I think like Jungi 1, of course, have very tiny arenas where you can't really do all that much before you hit a corner. But, you know, big arenas like this are really nice. Yakuza 6 does have a couple boss fights with really big arenas. Like, I think the 4th to last fight has, like, the biggest arena in the series. It's crazy. So, now that I have a little bit of time, I'm not going to be doing Roblox anymore. You probably could have gotten that from me saying that I'm not doing it now in the intro, but I'm not doing it anymore at all. And all the no damages are going to be in chronological order, which means that next up is Yakuza 0. Yippee. I might do OG Yakuza 1 and 2 if you really, really want me to, but as of now, I don't really have any plans for that. And I had no idea what I was cooking with this ending right here, so yeah. Doesn't matter, the fight is over, and I can stop talking. So speaking of Jungi and his arena, here's Jungi again, except I like his arena a little more, but I like the fight itself a little less. This fight actually took a really long time despite me having a pretty consistent strategy for it. It was kind of just like up to execution at that point, because, you know, there are some things that went wrong. And then I go and grab a bench because this is the point in the game where the bosses begin to have a lot more health, and you kind of have to do a little bit more to, you know, beat the boss because they just have a lot more health. And then I do a bench heat action here, and when Jungi gets up, he's actually stunned, and I do get a pretty decent stun combo off on him, but you know, partway in, he just decides that he's too good for that, and he just blocks the combo somehow. Like, bruh, you weren't even facing me. How did you block that? So then, like, for the rest of this, I just go for some stuff. I thought I could get a heat action there, but apparently not. I guess that wall doesn't count as a wall that I can actually do a heat action on. So, run over here to the stairs. And watch this. I promise you, me syncing up the blocking to Theory of Beauty was not intentional. I put the music in post, so there's no way that it was intentional. I just wanted to do the stanky leg with Kurohyou. So for this modded version, I beat Jungi's ass. And, like, I take out half of his health bar immediately with this one combo that I get in the beginning, and that brings it into phase 2. I'm just gonna let it play. Alright, so now we have Jungi again for the third time, but except this fight sucks ass. It's terrible. I hate it. Because all he does is spam this stupid dodge attack every time you try and hit him. Like, of course I can do a little combo on him there because, you know, Yakuza 6 bosses like to not do anything at the beginning of the fights, but, you know, afterwards he just spams the dodge attack and I can barely get anything on him. So I do kind of just have to spam Tiger Drop. Because it's really hard to actually do anything. Like, I really don't know what else to say about this fight. I try to be as creative as possible, but this fight doesn't really allow for that. So, I'm just gonna, you know, cop out on the commentary and let this one play again. Alright, so Beast Charge negates a lot of the Yakuza 6 bullshit that this game pulls, so this version of the fight is a lot better. And, you know, by this point in the game, like, this is like the, like, ending of the second act of the game, I would say. You know, latter half of the middle. I've gotten a lot better of doing, like, the Beast Charge combos, and so I can capitalize a lot more on what exactly it is I'm trying to get. And, you know, so the quality of the no damages are definitely better as the video goes on, is what I'm trying to say. And by this point, I think they're pretty good. I actually had it written down that I was going to use Spider Dance for this fight, but somewhere along the lines I got confused and accidentally put Death by Glamour instead, except I actually liked it how it is, so I left it in here, and yeah, I think that's better than Spider Dance. And of course when it gets to the good part towards the end, that's when it like really starts popping off. Now, I'm going for some crazy shit here for the finisher. I don't know exactly what, but I was going for some shit. Except, I completely fucked up the finisher by not being able to do the running attack heat action again. I miss Ed. We never get to see him again after this fight, and, like, I really liked him, actually. I wish he could come back. I don't know, maybe he'll, like, be in a Chinese restaurant in Hawaii in Yakuza 8 or some shit. Who knows? One thing that does suck is that this is his last fight, and he has super low health, because, and, like, this is the best fight in the game, probably. So I really wish he had more. And yeah, it's just, it's such a sad way for Ed to go out, because he kind of just leaves after like an underwhelming fight because he doesn't have enough health, and then he's never heard from ever again and never mentioned ever again. Like, you know, Yakuza 6 deserves to be written out of the series, which is what they're doing, but Ed does not deserve to be going down with the ship. You know, the one that was the big plot twist of this game. So, one thing that's special about this fight, and the one that comes after it, is that, you know, since the building is burning, you can actually extend some of your combos like this on the burning walls, which allows for some stuff that you couldn't normally do because Yakuza 6 is Yakuza 6. And, well, I mean, that's really about it for this fight. I mean, just look how much that running attack did. He does not have enough health. But I do try to remedy that in the modded version of this fight, which will be coming up here in just a moment. This is the fight that I lowered my attack for because it's too short otherwise. And as you can see, I'm luring Ed to the back over here because it's a bigger area with less clutter for me to be able to do some better combos with. And this is actually the last no damage that I did for this game because I had already had one after I finished the final boss. And then I was like, you know what, I want to go back and do that one with lower health so I can do it better, because you can just freestyle on this boss. And I'm going to shut up here because this is, like, probably the favorite no damage that I've done for this video. Of course, if you want to see the full version without my commentary, go check the no comms version, that is going to be in the description. Alright, now we're going from the best boss into the game. Into the game? Fuck, I don't know what I'm saying. Best boss in the game to the worst boss in the game. So, Yuta has some really fast attacks, plus like a really stupid retaliation attack that's worse than Somia's by a fucking nautical mile, because it's coded as a grab, so it bypasses block, and you just get hit by it. You can't do anything about it other than dodge. But it's so fast that it's hard to dodge, so, like, what the fuck. So, I don't want to deal with this bullshit, so I'm focusing on, like, you know, fire combos, keeping him on the ground, getting some wall stuns, stuff like that, just to make sure he can't breathe. And that's basically all that there is for this fight, because I don't want to mess with Yuta. I don't want to deal with his bullshit. Nobody does. Nobody likes Yuta. I kind of just have to spam heat actions while he's in heat mode, because that's when he really starts spamming the retaliation attack. And I barely get this punch heat action, but I do. So it can be really hard to set up that one. And the, like, flurry of punches one that's really broken and does, like, 80% of a health bar. But, you know, sometimes you can set it up like that, and they'll just run into it. I do have to play passively here at the ending until I can get a wall stun, but, you know, the heat action barely doesn't kill whenever I get it. So I do end up taking a risk and going for a tiger drop. And I landed, of course. So yes, I picked So Unusual because Yuta is so ugly and is so stupid. Yeah, OST is mid, Haruka only keeps you around for child support. I do try not to use Yakuza songs in these because I'm already going to be using them for other fights, but this one is from a spin-off, so I'll let it slide. And I did change my mind. I am just going to upload the entire video, no commentary, in an unlisted video in the description. So you could just go ahead and look at whatever one you want to. If there's like one that you really liked, except I didn't upload it and then you're mad at me for all eternity or whatever. And you give me a dislike that people can't see because YouTube's stupid. Tell them. So, after this QTE here, it takes a second, but I do end up getting the best fire combo position on Yuta, and it is an infinite. And honestly, he deserves it. So, right here by the door, I get the fire combo infinite. Now, unfortunately, I don't get to kill him with it, but yeah, it's fine. Okay, yeah, this is one of the longest fights in the game. It was both from, like, an actual length standpoint and from how long it feels like this fight takes. Because it's just anti-fun in all meanings of the word. Like, they really dropped the ball with some of these, like, ending fights. Like, Ed has, like, a really good third fight, but he has no health, so you can't enjoy it for too long. And then you have Yuta, which is one of the worst bosses in the game. And then you have Nagamo 3, which is so comedically bad that it's just like, how did this make it past the drafts? Like, what? Another thing is, like, this is a different music track than Nagamo's other fights. I had no idea that Nagamo had a second theme until I made this video. which, like, I can't really blame myself because it's pretty damn generic, but I really thought that he just had brother for all of his fights. I mean, not like this fight is anything to write home about anyway. You can see that I'm just fucking dicking on him. You know, I've never really understood this QTE, because, like, so Nagamo jumps into the air, and Kurohyou stops him, and then he, like, magically teleports back to the ground in the next shot. I don't get it. It's so weird, it doesn't work. So, Nagamo technically has heavy properties, but you can't really capitalize off of that, because, you know, he kind of just retaliation attacks everything. I really just don't know what the idea behind this boss was. Like, there's no way to combo him. You can't really bob and weave because he kind of just does whatever he wants. He'll just retaliation attack whatever you do anyway, so what's the point? You know, I'm like the biggest Yakuza 6 hater in existence. I will hate on this game till the day that I die. I am so glad that the ending of this game is being reversed by 7, Gaiden 8. Like, it just is such a shit way to send off Kurohyou. Like, this game works in concept, but the execution was done so poorly that it does not feel earned at all. Like, everybody talks about how lackluster the combat system is, but I don't think it can be overstated how just awfully they fucked up the story, and especially the ending. Speaking of ending, this boss is about to do that, thankfully. Alright, so luckily the Beast Charge actually makes this fight passable, and trust me, I am cooking something with lowering my health there. So, I am using The Field Without Me by Hunter 1S1K, which is a mashup between The Field of Hopes and Dreams and Without Me by Eminem. Unfortunately, the latter one is a copyrighted song, so I have to talk constantly, but luckily, this version of the fight is far shorter because Beast Charge comes and, you know, makes it passable. Now, watch here. I'm gonna fail this QTE. But if you see, I did not take damage there. In fact, I took negative damage, so maybe this isn't a no damage. Maybe this is a negative damage, because I actually healed there because of the way that the Abstin mod works. It brings me down to 0 health technically, but, you know, I can't actually die from the QTEs, so it brings me back up to 1 health instead. Just some weird thing that I decided to do on this fight because it's bad and it sucks. I actually forgot that Nagamo has heavy properties, so I didn't actually capitalize off of that at all. No double finishers and no drop kicks and everything. But I can actually still combo Nagamo for the rest of his health bar. And I finished it off with the punch heat action, which I think is actually different whether you hit it in the front or the back, but I don't have any proof for that. I get that one though. Alright, so, yeah, here's Hirose. Hirose is actually a really good boss, because he is the only boss in the game, other than Ed and maybe Nagamo 3, that has heavy properties. He also has a banger soundtrack, which is one of the very good things about this game that I actually do enjoy. Like, there's a lot of good tracks in this game, like this one, and like Body and Soul I really love, Bloodstained Philosophy. A lot of good tracks in this game. All of them are awesome. This arena is, I think, the biggest one in the entire franchise, bar none. Like, there's no reason for you to have this much space. Like, maybe in, like, the big group fight that comes before it, which, honestly, you probably still don't even need that much space. But definitely not in this single boss fight. I guess it helps for, like, this smoke section to where you can run around a little bit, where he's just not there, and then suddenly the knives come out and you gotta dodge him and whatnot. Now, unfortunately, This is the last of the unmodded fights where I do not have the parry talisman, which would actually make a huge difference here because Hirose has a knife, so I can't parry his attacks normally, so I just kind of have to dodge and play super defensively. So while I have some time, while I'm just kind of doing whatever, I don't know why, but legend difficulty in this game, because yes, I am doing this on legend difficulty, unlike Imami 2, which I did on hard, and unlike most of the other games, which I'll also be doing on hard, legend difficulty in this game allows you to restart after dying. Which, like, I don't know why they randomly did that for this game, even though that's, like, a really good change that, well, should have been in the game since Yakuza 2 actually introduced legend difficulty, or EX hard as it was known in the original English release. Was it Yakuza 2? I think it was Yakuza 2. I'm pretty sure. It might have been Yakuza 3, though, or Kenzan, or whatnot, something like that. But the only other games that have legend difficulty that you can actually restart on are Lost Judgment, and oddly enough, the Kurohyou games. I accidentally reused that heat action. Whoopsies! But yeah, I guess Gaiden sort of has that too. It technically doesn't have a legend difficulty. It technically just has, like, beginner, standard, and professional. But professional is just about as difficult as the legend difficulty in the other games, so it's basically legend difficulty. And you can restart on it, which is nice. I had no fucking idea what song I was gonna use for this fight. This was literally last second before I started making this video that I put Make Poop by Mr. Safety over it. I swear, I tried, but I could not find the song that I wanted to use for this. Yeah, like I said, Hirose has heavy properties, and because I have Beast Charge, I can just kind of go crazy with it. The Giant Arena has a much bigger impact on this version of the fight because, you know, I can not worry about getting Hirose into a corner, and I can just kind of drag him along the map for however long I want.
Maybe I'm a fool. Sometimes I have to take a shit in the drive-thru. Big poop. This song goes out to the truckers. Man, I feel bad for all you motherfuckers. Big poop. The people who like jumping out of planes. Big poop. The people who get stuck in the rain. Big poop. It doesn't matter if you're rich or poor. Big poop. Everybody just need a big poop. All the girlies do it like Britney Spears, pushing out a nutty buddy face full of tears. Mr. T has problems with his colon, cause every time he shits it looks like Harry.
Yeah, this combo right here is like where the Giant Arena really comes into play, cause I can just really just drag him along for like a mile. I do actually fuck it up here by hitting him with that, but then it goes to the QTE, so it kind of gets saved. Hirose is actually one of those weird bosses where you can't actually kill him before you do all the QTEs. I learned that the hard way if you watch that no damage fail that I uploaded a little bit ago. And I'm going to activate EX Heat here, and you may have noticed in the modded at 3 fight, but enemies with heavy properties don't get knocked down by the EX Heat Punch Flurry, which you don't get the heat action if you hold down L2, which is really nice. Alright, here's the one everybody talks about. This is probably the hardest non-group fight to no damage in this video. It took me a really long time. But like, this fight is actually really great overall, which is something I can't say about Yakuza 6 all that often. But I think they did a really good job with this one. Unfortunately, Somiya has never been my favorite character. I know a lot of people like him, but he just never left that much of an impression on me, which is another reason why I don't like Y6 and am glad that it's being erased, basically, from the canon. Like, they fucked up so bad that they're taking 3 games to undo it. And I barely blocked that there. And the only reason I can block it is because I finally have the parry talisman. And I can't actually parry it there, so it just acts as a normal sword block like that. That's another reason why I hate Y6. Tiger drops can just whiff like that. So, yeah. And parry talisman, of course, other than being able to block the sword, is great because I can actually parry the sword now. And I really don't know what I would do without it. It makes this fight and this game so much better, especially for bosses with weapons. Because not only does it allow you to parry with weapons, it allows you to hold your block basically infinitely. Without parry talisman, I have to actually time my parries, but no, I can just block for like fucking 10 seconds and then the enemy attacks me and I can still parry their attack. It's really broken, but you kinda need it in a game like Yakuza 6. Alright, so I really love that QTE. I do like a lot of the choreography in Yakuza 6. That's another positive. So now we're in Somiya's regular phase, which is just like Somiya 1 and 2's heat phases. The sword phase is a lot easier because, well, easier and better because he doesn't have that dumbass retaliation attack where he gets back now. So, awesome. I have to deal with playing passively again because I have to worry about his grab and his retaliation attack again, which I just go for the tiger drops towards the end. The timing for that attack is actually way earlier than you'd probably think. If you do it wrong, you can still get the tiger drop, but you can still get hit by the attack. Persona 5 is a terrible game that you should never play, and you should also never play any of its spin-offs. Terrible game, 0 out of 10, but I do really like Gentle Madman, which is the song that is playing right now. So, I'm gonna get this corner heat action here because it's sick and it's awesome. Heat actions in Yakuza 6, I might have said this already, I don't remember, but they look really weird to me. I just feel like they don't have the same kind of impact that they do in other games, but I feel like that one's pretty cool. I think I had a different song in mind originally, which was also a piano track. I don't remember what it was though. I'm just pretty sure I had something else in mind. But it was a lot softer and less melancholic compared to this one, which is why I ended up settling with Gentle Madman, which I think it works a lot better and like really well for this fight overall. And if you saw that sword heat action over there, that heat action is actually like stupidly hard to activate sometimes because you can't be too close. You have to be a certain distance away, and I'm pretty sure you also can't be locked on. Alright, so now that we're in the unarmed phase, it's basically the same as last time. You know, I can get some beast charges and get some combos off of that, but I still gotta end up doing some retaliation attack tiger drops, which I actually do fuck up at the end, unfortunately, but I still no damage to fight, so we're good. Alright, I had to edit in the winning attempt and the full intro, so that's why the health bar just changed there. This is the hardest group fight in the game, bar none. Like, probably harder than Ed 2, maybe. It's kind of a toss-up, because do you want the boss fight to come first and then the group fight, or do you want the group fight to come first and then the boss fight? I mean, it all depends on you. I guess in this one, Koshimizu does get up with the full health bar again, but technically because it's 2 phases, he has reduced health bars in both of them, so he basically has like an Ed 3 health bar in both phases. I'm trying not to rely on the dropkick here, but this fight is stupidly hard to no damage without it. I do end up having to do a lot of hurting, so my my crowd control moves had the greatest effect. So that's why you see me running around constantly. And as I said, I do try not to use the dropkick too much, but I do end up having to use it at least some. At least now that the crowd has thinned out a little bit, I can get away with doing some other moves like, you know, square, square, triangle, triangle. And I do end up, you probably saw it a couple times, but I do end up trying to do the dodge roll attack, which nobody uses because it sucks and it's committal. But I wanted to spice things up, and nobody uses that and there are no damages, so I wanted to put it in this one. And I try to use the bounding throws to the end, but most of them don't work. A weird thing is that if you try to use a bounding throw on an enemy, but you kill them with the finisher, it actually works as an animation cancel. I never really get to make use of that, but it's pretty neat. So now that I actually have the crowd gone, it's just me, Nagamo, and Koshimizu. So we both just start fucking them up in the corner here. And that's basically it until phase 2. Alright, so now we're in phase 2, and phase 2 is way easier because it's just Koshimizu, and Koshimizu is a really easy boss. Especially now that I have the parry talisman, which makes him literally just the easiest boss in the game, probably. Like, my fucking 3-year-old nephew could probably do this. Yeah, it's just the same as Koshimizu 1, except he has less health because Yakuza 6. He probably saw that heat action that I did that took away 1/5 of his health. It's stupid how much he just dies. And he can't attack me because his attacks are too slow and I can just parry all of them. And I missed another tiger drop there because Yakuza 6. It's almost time for the finisher here, and I do try to get a heat action off of a parry, but I can't parry that charge attack. It just blocks it. And for the last time, parry, backhand. So the modded gameplay doesn't really change anything other than having faster attacks, at least for phase 1. But I do think this is still a better no damage overall. Like, I got a reverse attack there, which is neat. And I can actually get some better crowd control done, thankfully. For no reason other than that, it just decides to work in this version of the fight. And once again, I had to edit in the intros, which is why the health bar changed again. I am using the beta version of Stains of Time here because I just feel like the raw, less electric sounding version works a lot better for Koshimizu. And I think it does. You probably noticed that Nagamo has a white suit. I think it's the Gaiden skin mod that changes that, but I don't know exactly which one it is. I don't know why it changes it, but it does. It actually does that for all of the Hirose boys, except Matsunaga for some reason. I couldn't tell you why. So you can probably see I accidentally stunned Nagamo there because the Beast Charge actually has friendly fire for some reason. It doesn't do any damage, but you can definitely stun your teammates. But that's actually a good thing because Nagamo can actually fuck up some of the combos that I'm trying to do. Sometimes he can help a little bit, but most of the time he's just a liability. So, Phase 2 is basically just a victory lap, because it's so easy. Like, now I can't even counter his charge attack because Beast Charge overrides the Super Armor. And, yeah. And would you look at that? I actually make use of the Quick Step Dropkick tech, even though Koshimizu just gets knocked down with it because he doesn't have heavy properties. And I do, unfortunately, never do the Koshimizu specific heat action because I kind of forget that it exists. Unfortunately. I mean, I don't even know if it does damage anyway. It kind of just is there and you can do it. And really all I'm trying to do now is set up the finisher, so have fun. Alright, final boss time. Iwami's a very weird final boss because you can do Yakuza 6 stuff on him in his first phase, but his first phase is really short. Like, it's not even like 3/4 of his health that he needs to get to before he goes into heat mode. And once he does go into heat mode, he gains the worst retaliation attack in the game. Yes, worse than Somiya. Yes, worse than Nagamo 3. And then you kind of just can't anymore with them. He just becomes like Somiya but worse. You just gotta Tiger Drop every one of them because you can't do anything else. And yeah, look at this sync though. Awesome. So now we're in phase 2, and it's just not worth talking about. It's not worth my time or your time. Luckily, the modded version makes it a little better because I can just Beast Charge and override it. But unfortunately, this is not the modded version, so I kind of just gotta deal with it. And I tried to Tiger Drop there, but it failed. I still blocked it though because Yakuza 6 is Yakuza 6. And I barely didn't get hit there. So I can just do the kick key action. But this actually works in my favor because when he gets up, he's stunned. So I can actually get a little bit of a combo on him. Which I'm very thankful for because otherwise this phase would have been super boring. And unfortunately, that last finisher does take him out of the stun state. But I just start weeping in and out before the finisher. The fight's almost over anyway. Then we're going to get to the better version of it. Reverse stagger drop. Hey guys, so as much as I wanted to let this video play, unfortunately I can't because I found out the hard way that this song is copyrighted, a Minecraft parody song. Now, of course, there will be the no commentary version in the no commentary video, but I do unfortunately have to talk over this, and you might hear the microphone sound a little bit different because I'm recording this afterwards. A perfect little song for little baby Iwami. Now, unfortunately, I did have to chop it up a bit for it to fit into this fight, but I still think that it works awesome. Once again, little baby Iwami deserves it. So, I finally do get a good combo where I utilize the instant dropkick tech. I did use it somewhat in the Koshimizu 2 fight, but I actually use it as a combo finisher to get into the second phase. Sorry, I had to let that sync play. I couldn't go without it. This video was supposed to come out yesterday, but it's coming out today because of the copyright issues, so yeah. And now for the final time, Beast Charge comes in clutch because it lets me bypass the dumbass retaliation attack again. I don't know why Yakuza 6 bosses like to do that. And I don't know why you would put that on your final boss, even though Iwami isn't a great final boss. I think Gunkshot gave it like a 6 out of 10, so yeah. I do actually get Iwami up against one of the cars like that, which almost makes me drop the combo because Dragon Engine jank, which makes my forward quick step attack aim upwards. So, and I'm just gonna let the ending play. Except no, I'm not, because, you know, copyright stuff. So, I mean, I'm not saying that this song shouldn't be copyrighted, but I am saying that I did not know that this is going to be copyrighted. You know, Minecraft parody songs on YouTube. I did not expect that. And it sucks because I had this whole ending, like, planned out and everything, but now I can't let it play because my video will be demonetized. Yeah. And that is Yakuza 6. I'm glad that I don't have to touch this piece of shit game ever again. So I hope you enjoyed. I will have the no commentary version down in the description, and I'll see you again in a couple months with Yakuza 0 No Damages. Very excited for that one.